Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TNC Oppo preview. Now, before we start things as I normally would, I wanted to apologise in advance because I don't really have much energy for this today, and that's because of course, what's going on in the world right now. It's darkened big time, particularly what's going on in Ukraine. We have a number of subscribers, and I know there's many Norwich fans and many people in Ukraine really struggling right now. So I just really wanted to ensure that anyone watching this right now out in Ukraine knows that we are with them. We're sending them all of our thoughts and prayers during what is going to be an unimaginably tough time for them and their families. And I know that the Talk Norwich City subscribers are very giving, very kind people. You've raised lots of money before, so if you do have a fiver here, a tenner there, go and donate it to one of those Ukraine causes if you can. Now, onto the football, something that seems a lot less important right now. Of course, last time out for Norwich City, it was a 2-0 loss against Southampton. Absolutely rubbish result for us again. Up next, it's time to see whether we've got what it takes to beat Brentford at Carrow Road. It's an absolutely massive game, which could cause the turn of the season for both sides. And who better to give us all of the Brentford insights than the top man and a wanted guest, might I say, wanted back onto the channel. It's, of course, Billy the Bee of Beesotted Podcast. Billy, thanks so much for coming on, mate. How are you? Are you okay?
I'm good, man. Thanks for the invite again, and it's good to be back on. And hello, Norwich fans. How you doing? Again, it's good to see you. Well, virtually all again. And season, what a strange season, eh?
It's been strange. It has been strange, and we'll get onto that, Billy, for sure, because it's been turbulent for Brentford. Loads of stuff has happened since we last played each other, so I can't wait to get stuck into that. But before I do, what is the mood like at Brentford right now? I know that Mr. Eriksen is in the house. Has that lifted the spirits somewhat?
I mean, the mood is it's a bit of a, I think it's a sort of transient's probably the best word.
Okay.
There's a lot of people are very nervous, which is you can very understandable. I'd say they're very nervous when you've gone through a run of games where you haven't won for a while. Then you do get very nervous. The other thing is what I'd say is there's a lot of fans that haven't been through this, as Brentford fans, and a lot of people think, what are you talking about? Like, if you think about it, our rise started in 2013, so we've kind of been sort of quite good, even if it's sort of mid-table championship since then. So you kind of like, we've been winning more games than we're losing, and we're always finishing top 10 in the championship. Now we've got the Premier League. Now, if you started supporting Brentford, around about 2011, it's 2020, it's 11 years ago. So if you're sort of 21, 22, you've actually never seen this, So for a lot of fans, sort of 22, 23, 21 and below that, this is a really new moment for them. This is different. I mean, for someone like me, who's a bit of a old warhorse in all these things, we've seen some really terrible times. So I'm not saying that this is brilliant, but I think you're able to be a little bit more kind of reasoned about it. So you can ask me what's the feeling like, and I'll be kind of like, listen, I'm glad that we're still here. We've got some great players. We've got some terrible times. I still think we'll get out of it. But maybe you should speak to some other fans. They're a little bit more kind of think it's a little bit more ominous. So what I'm trying to say to you is my view on this doesn't necessarily count. But there's a lot of people very, very nervous. But you're asking about Mr. Eriksen. He definitely has lifted the mood. He when he came on Saturday, he came on earlier than I thought. I thought he'd come on the traditional 70 minutes, but he came on about 56 minutes, I think it was, because we were already 2-0 down by then. And you could feel, because by that stage, you're 2-0 down to who are supposedly your rivals when you're down to 10 men and you couldn't see a way out. And all of a sudden, it's like, on the terraces, the singing was flat and everything was a bit flat. And when he came on, it really lifted the crowd and lifted everything. Yeah. And he bit rusty to start off with, then he did a few little moves, which made you think, oh, cool, blimey, he could be quite handy when he's actually, fit and up and running. So I think there's a little bit of a kind of like, wow, because we need someone in our side that's going to help us to change things, a bit of a game changer. And I think the feeling is when he came on, we thought actually he looks like a good player, and he looks like somebody who can actually kind of take the bull by the horns and change games if so necessary.
Do you almost have imposter syndrome with Christian Eriksen, Billy? Because he's a player that I'm sure, as you've said, you've watched Brentford for many a year. He's a player that I'm sure even last season that you wouldn't have been able to dream of signing. And I know he's been through a lot since then. But does it feel really strange to see a player of that caliber in a Brentford shirt?
It does, and that's undoubted. And again, I'm not putting the team down. I'm not putting our fans down. I'm not putting anything like that down. But I think if you ask any Brentford fan, if you said to them, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, even half a season ago, we're going to sign Christian Eriksen, or maybe a year and a bit ago, actually, we're going to sign Christian Eriksen. Everyone, they would have laughed, saying, "Yeah, right, okay." And it just goes to show you, I think, how football could change in a very short space of time. And also the other thing is, I say that, it's interesting when you're talking about Ukraine, and sometimes and I'm not equating this to Ukraine, but I think with the Ukraine, all of a sudden it's made a lot of people realize, how what things are important and what things aren't important. And listen, we love our football, we love our game, but also when you're seeing what's going out there, you sort of think, listen, what is important in the world, what is really important in the world. And I think the same thing kind of dawned on Christian Eriksen when he obviously basically died and he was brought back from the dead, at the European Championships. And he went through a situation where he thought he's going to never, play again. And for him, obviously playing football was his life. So he never thought that was going to happen. So, when he's come back and he went through a process where, he had the IED fitted on his neck, and then he's got himself, up to a certain level of fitness. And then he's thinking, look, I need to go and play football. Everyone moans about how football is money orientated and it's all about, corporate and all these things that they talk about, and it's been taken away from the fans and what football is really about. Listen, now, we understand about there is a business side to football, and the business side can sometimes get away with the love of the game and all that kind of stuff. However, what I did like about the Christian Eriksen thing is that he's turned around and he's almost like gone, tell you what, it's not about the money. It's not about the team. It's just about, I want to be surrounded by people that I know. So he's got a couple of Danes in the side, a manager that I know. He's got a Dane in the side, and a team that's kind of, maybe a little, okay, they're not doing particularly well, but they've got an ethos that maybe I can buy into. So I don't care about the money. And in a way, I sort of think, I like that, because all of a sudden it gives you a little bit of faith in football. Football isn't necessarily all about the money. And I'd think the same thing, even if it was Brentford. If he'd gone to Norwich, or if he'd gone to, I don't know, whatever, probably not Fulham, but, if he'd gone to another side, I'd have thought exactly the same thing. So for me, again, it's one of those things where, I love this. It's not necessarily about the money thing. About football, because a lot of the times it is about the money, and I understand how much the money drives the game and it's important. I understand all of that, but this was a nice moment, I think, and him coming to us, I'm very proud.
Yeah, and you should be, mate. And I totally agree with your thoughts on that. I think my thoughts on the Premier League have hugely changed since the Super League proposals, the Greedy Six, VAR. But it's those stories, and I always tip my hat where it should be tipped to the opposition when these good stories come out of the game, and in the darkness can quite often come out the light, and it has been with Christian Eriksen. It's an incredible story, and I must admit I'm quite envious of Brentford having that soul injected into your football club. I think it's a great story and fair blooming play. Away from that and away from Christian Eriksen, because I'm sure he'll get plenty of headlines and talking points throughout this game and throughout the rest of the season, quite frankly. But let's drag you back through the pain which was your last game, Billy. Let's talk about that 2-0 loss, please, to Newcastle at home. I believe you got a red card in that. What were your observations and takeaways from that game, and what do you think Thomas Frank will take from that to bring into this crucial game for Brentford and Norwich at Carrow Road?
Main takeaways, again, if you check out our Beesotted podcast, Pride of West London, where we talk about this, and we do we sit around the table and we have our main takeaways. And I'll be honest with you, it's almost like you could never take away from that. I mean, there are takeaways from that, but the thing is that what I said is, I actually said when we played Aston Villa on the day after New Year's, a couple of days after New Year's Day, we played Aston Villa, we beat them, and I said I wasn't really being facetious, but I'm trying to sort of kind of be really level-headed about this season and not getting too carried away. And I said to be quite honest with you, I said I don't think we're going to win another game until Newcastle. And that's what I said. I said, that's what I said. And then we're like, oh, we can't. And I said, look, it's all right. It's cool. Because I said, it's fine. We've won that game. If we win Newcastle and we win another game the next month, then we're fine. We're sorted. We only need to win 3 games, maybe 4 this season. So in my sort of kind of level-headed way, I was looking at the games. I thought, Wolves lose, Man City will lose that one, or Crystal Palace. I'm not sure about that. So I thought, let me aim for Newcastle. Now, when it came to Newcastle, I kind of was hoping that we might have picked up maybe a lucky victory in between, so that I kind of didn't have to be so nervous. So that became a make and break. So we sat around on the podcast. We said this game is actually a real make and break. But what's more important? It's sort of make or break, but because it's February, it isn't so much so because we've still got time to do things if it doesn't happen. We said, but what is more important? It's going to be a real barometer as to kind of where we are, because we were there at the beginning of the season when we were firing all cylinders and we didn't have all the injuries. And now we are kind of down there, and Newcastle are there. Newcastle are going like that. Yeah. Are we kind of like that, or are we kind of what are we doing? So we thought it's going to be a really great barometer. So let's go down there. Let's get down the pub early, have a few drinks with the Newcastle fans, get down the stadium early, and let's have a good sing-song and just get behind our team, and we'll see how it goes. You get there, first 10 minutes, we were actually looking quite good. I'll be honest with you. We're looking in control. Bam, Josh De Silva gets sent off after 10 minutes, and that was it. It was all over. And after that, we were pretty much sort of chasing shadows. Really? Eddie Howe, he's a good manager. He knows what he's doing. He's been trying to get Newcastle to play football. Brentford had 10 men down, no Ivan Toney on the pitch. He's thinking, right, here you go, ping, 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 balls pinging all over. We're kind of trying to, our defenders are trying to shut down 2 players at one time. Boom. They're all over the place. And it was only a matter of time. I mean, we thought we'd get to half time on a 0-0, and then they scored, a few minutes before half time. Bit of a gutter, typical goal that we always let in. Ball comes across, bang, in the back of the net. It's actually not Joe Linton, actually. I had one of my Brazilian chums that I've met on one of my travels that actually kind of came on our podcast. He said, it's not Joe Linton. What are you talking about, you English? It's Joe Ellington. So Joe Ellington scored for Newcastle. I probably actually regret putting that clip on the podcast before now, actually, because it probably actually spurred him on to put the ball in the back of the net. But so they put that, and then after that, to be quite honest with you, the second half we were just kind of not in it. And Christian Eriksen came in and played a few balls in, and we could have done maybe. And I think Janelt was at the end where he had a shot, in the penalty area, and maybe it could have got in. But it was one of those games where the red card, 100%. Killed a game, killed it for us. Yes, it was a red card, so I'm not complaining about the red card, even though the referee was quite rubbish. And that was it. So you asked me a sort of a very simple question. The question is, it was a nightmare, and it's a bit of a gutter, but I still don't actually know where we sit with that, because Ivan Toney didn't come on till 70 plus minutes, I think it was. He played with 10 men, and Eriksen looked quite good. So it's one of those ones where, and I always thought that it's going to be April till we see kind of the inverted commas old school Brentford again. And when Josh De Silva came back early from injury, he's been out for a season, over a season. Yes, Ivan Toney's been out for a while, and he's still got a bit of a niggle, it seems. I just and there'd be the sort of David Raya's only just come back into the team and the form, but I thought that these players weren't going to come back till probably mid-March, so I thought it was going to be April till we come back. It kind of looks like we're kind of gearing up into kind of April before we get the old school Brentford back. Now, whether or not that's going to be too late, if we don't get a few results under our belt, that is going to be a big question.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I don't know about you, Billy, but I'm looking at these teams around us, and I'm thinking it's a case of who sinks the quickest, actually. Obviously, Leeds have now got a new gaffer in charge. I think Everton are really struggling, but then they're Everton. They've got talent all over the pitch, so it is certainly gonna be a tight one. But Billy, you've started to talk there about the reason for your recent downfall. Obviously, the injuries. There was actually a few injuries going to our last fixture. Remember you mentioning that. is that the way that Norwich City can hurt you at Carrow Road? Is it literally about just really overloading in those areas where you are weaker? How do Norwich beat Brentford at Carrow Road?
You know, everyone seems to beat us by putting the ball in the middle of the area and putting the ball in the back of the net, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it's a hard one, because the thing about it is that obviously they're working out a lot of things in training. A lot of teams, it's interesting because, and again, I'm not saying this because we would do exactly the same thing, but we obviously came out the traps really quite hardcore and obviously surprised a lot of people. So we found, I think by the time we came to October, November, teams were they were on us. So basically teams were hard pressing us. They were just on it really hard. So we were playing teams, and we played Burnley, and when we played them, and Burnley hadn't won a game, right? And everyone's going, Burnley are terrible. They're not. They played them. They were wicked, right? They were wicked. They're playing the ball on the floor, down the wings, passing the ball around, ball into Chris Wood, when he was there before he moved to Newcastle, and put them back in the net. And I was like, oh, these lot aren't going down. Not if they carry on playing like this. But after the following game, they didn't win another game for ages. So again, I'm sort of thinking, are they kind of, I'm not saying raising their games to us, but all of a sudden it's I don't know, it's we can't lose to Brentford. Arsenal kind of underestimated them. We need to be ready for this, that's what you'd expect for any team, because you're meant to obviously prepare for every game. But like what it's like when you're in the Championship. Certain teams used to come to you, and you used to just raise your game up. And then you used to play some terrible teams, right? Like Birmingham City or something like that, or something at the bottom. And you go, how the hell do we lose to that team? You know what I'm saying? So it was almost like a reversal, where we are kind of a bottom, we are a lower edge team, but we seem to come against these teams who really up the ante. And then when I watch them on the TV or watch them play other teams, I'm thinking, why don't they play like that against us? Newcastle, 3-3 game, brilliant against us. And the following, they didn't win for another 2 months, I don't think. And I was watching them on the TV, they're going, why didn't they play like that against us? So it's one of those ones where it's a bit of a tough one. You're asking that question because Norwich, I've always thought that they've got some great players. Dean Smith knows obviously a lot about Brentford and the way that we play.
Yes, of course.
And we could match each other, stylistically, and both in the way that we play. Even though sometimes we do tend to go long as well, so we do tend to swap it up. So if Dean Smith done his homework, which he would have done, and hits us with the weaknesses which we could have done, then Norwich, like any other team, can get us. I think people need to realise that we are in we're in the Premier League. Yeah, teams do. What I've noticed is that teams, when they go on bad runs, like we've been on we're not a bad team, but we've got on this bad run, which started off with these injuries, and then it's just carried on. Then players have come back. We've had this jigsaw of players coming in and out, and by the time we come into these games now, we're actually going into there with a real lack of confidence. And if you start playing in games where you've got a lack of confidence, it just does you no good. And you come against these teams who have got these players who can, boom, just put the ball in the back of the net. And you're finished. And so I think that it's not necessarily a case that there are a lot of teams are really bad. It's just kind of like when confidence is down, in particular in teams like us, maybe, the Norwiches, your Brentfords, the teams, we're quite green in this league. And when you're down, it's really hard to get them back up. So you need something, or you need a bit of luck. It's almost like we feel like we've been missing a bit of luck, a little bit of the rub of the green, a little bit of a lucky goal here.
Missing or run out of luck.
Yeah, well, of course, everyone, of course, that's a statistical thing to say, but luck runs out over, it evens itself out over time. And if you've had a lot of bad luck over a period of time, eventually you get the luck. And to be fair as well, and I'll put my hand up, in years and in the Championship, we had years where we had luck, we had really lucky runs where we were up there. We're thinking, cool, that was a good result. Cool, we did really well there. So, I'm being quite philosophical and saying, look, it is what it is. We know exactly where the problems are. I still think we'll get out the hole. I think it's going to be a really tricky game for us on Saturday, just because we're on a massively negative run. But I'm hoping that the Eriksen and his experience will say, tell you something, guys, don't worry about it. Let's just go out there and have a bit of fun, and let's just go and play football.
Mate, it ain't going to be a fun game for you at Carrow Road, because we need to win this. I will be very surprised if Norwich sit back in this. And I'm not saying I'm confident by any means, but I don't think it's going to be one of those ones where either side can actually be relaxed. I really don't. I think, of course, that the managers and the experienced players will tell them to be patient, but I can see this being a frantic one. Can you? How do you think the game will pan out? Not necessarily the result, we'll get to that, but how do you think the game will be? Because this is a team, as you've quite rightly analysed there, you know, Dino will know Brentford. Brentford will know Dino. There's going to be a bit of that going on. I think both teams are obviously going to be low on confidence. We're about to lose to Liverpool at time of filming in the Cup. So it's going to be, I personally think, a very frantic. I can't see it being a lovely passing game, Billy.
Again, let's see. Again, it could be, you can mixing the match. I mean, we'll. There was a sort of slight change of formation for us, but it tells you something. It's not a case of it. Tell you what it is, okay? Like I said to you, we on Saturday, first 10 minutes, we fought control. You could see the defence. They're really kind of chilled and not chilled and relaxed, but they just had it in control. And we had a game plan. We had a game plan. Obviously, he came in and said to him, they worked on this game plan all week. With Josh De Silva in there, and he's gone out after 10 minutes. Game plan's gone out the window. What do we do? How do we play that? So for me, I could see them saying, listen, we had a game plan last week. Let's put that game plan again into place. And they'll be completely comfortable with it.
What's the formation and what is the game plan and what's your new formation, Billy?
Well, it's not new formation. I'd say we went, I think, and again, I'm casting my mind back. I'm not seeing the replays here, but I'm pretty sure that we went 4 at the back. Because we are normally 3/5 at the back, playing with 2 wing backs. And I think, I have played that's right. I have played right back on Saturday, and he got a bit of a pounding as well, because down that left-hand side, he got a bit of a pounding. But the argument is to say that, if Josh De Silva wasn't there, so he had no one protecting him in front of him. So he basically was trying to defend 2 players coming at him. So there are a lot of people sort of saying that formation didn't work, that didn't work. Why is he playing? He shouldn't be in the team and stuff like that, which I think is not the right decision, because I think he's a very good defender. But I think, you've got to have all the right tools in place. So I think, that to me, if we go back to whether or not it's that, or whether it goes back to, 3/5 at the back, because we're playing away from home and we're going to be trying to hit you on the break, bringing your old mate Sergi Canos back into the right wing back position, like I'm saying, as he was playing before, because we actually kind of dropped him out of that position, because there's a few games that he had that he was getting a little bit found out. It has to be said. I have to say that wing back is not his position. He's not a defender. So he's been really kind of nobly playing that position. And at times, he's been caught off guard, and particularly defensively. But where he is really great is if he decides that he's going to go bang on the break. And go out there and causing a check, and he's been causing problems then. But it's almost like, with all the games playing week in and week out in that position, he was just getting really he just wasn't hitting. He wasn't hitting form up front or at the back. So we dropped him out for a bit. So whether or not we bring him back in, to start off, that'll be a bit of a question.
We shall see. Billy, short and sharp answer on this, please. Who is more likely to survive in the Premier League, Norwich City or Brentford?
Is that okay? Sorry, and I know you say short and sharp answer, but is this over a long period of time? You're talking about this season?
This season, who's more likely to survive, Brentford or Norwich?
I mean, I have to say Brentford, just because we got more. But and again, I'm not saying it on a disrespect to Norwich at all, but it's just that we got more points than Norwich at this moment in time. So are you asking me at this moment in time? I have to say that, yeah, of course, But the thing is also is that when teams are at the bottom, everyone talks about, everyone's like, there's games in hand and this, that, the other. Points per game, teams are picking up less points at the bottom than you are at the top. So if you've got games in hand, you're more likely to pick up the points than you are at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're dipping, but all you have to do is, if you look at it, games are running out. Every time you play a game, there's one game less, and there's another game less. So if you're going to ask me the question, I'd have to say Brentford. If you ask me that same question in a month's time, I might have to revise my answer, but I have to keep this one for now.
Billy, if hypothetically speaking, Norwich take Brentford to the car. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but hypothetically speaking, if Norwich take Brentford to the carpet cleaners at Carrow Road, say we beat you 3-0, does your answer change? Considering where we are in the league?
But it's such a hypothetical. It really is a hypothetical question, and I'm not dodging it here. It poses a lot of very big questions for us, and I think as fans, I think people will be sort of starting to jump out windows and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, sort of, or not. That's literally. I'm talking about. You know, not literally, but you know, not literally jumping out windows. But you understand what I'm saying? They start to get very panicky. What I would say though is it could be a wake up call, and also the other thing is that we're such a strange team because we end up getting results against teams that where did that come from? So it's people say if you're going to stay up, you need to beat teams like Norwich, which I don't believe in the teams like Norwich thing, but obviously you're below us and you're at the bottom of the league, so they say that. However, I think that if you beat us and you play great football on the day, that's fine. But if we go and play Chelsea and they're rubbish on the day, we nick a 1-0 win, that could always changes it all up. And that's the weird thing about where we're at the moment now. We've seen that we've been able to do that at the beginning of the season. We were wicked against Chelsea, even though we lost 1-0. We were wicked against Liverpool, wicked against Arsenal. We knew that our team at the moment now is a bit of a thing in the damn time. But I really do believe that we're going to be coming back to the original Brentford as they were around about April. Early to mid-April. Now, whether or not that's going to be too late to save us, I don't know. But players are coming back. Players coming back into form. Thomas has got them in. We've got Eriksen back in the side. That's kind of when it is. So that's for me is when our season's going to start again, as far as I'm concerned.
Let us know in the comment section if you think Billy's heart will be broken at the end of the season. I know that we're tight for time, Billy, and thank you. I do appreciate you spending your time with us today. But I do want to squeeze in one more question before we get to the big score prediction one. What did you make of Norwich at Brentford? Because we haven't spoken since that, what was at the time a very strange day and result for Norwich City. Obviously winning it 2-1, Matthias Norman scoring, Daniel Farke getting the chop in the changing room immediately after the game, despite winning. What were your thoughts on that game that day?
I thought in the first half, I thought Norwich were right, actually. I thought they were good. They took the game to us. They scored the goal, and you did what you had to do. Again, you surprised us. And the thing about it is that, I mean, there's no surprise because we haven't. I think we've only been ahead in a game either once or twice this season. We always go behind, and we seem to just wake up after we go behind. So that's one thing you have to remember. That's the Brentford of the Premier League so far. We literally wait for other teams to come at us, which is obviously good news to you. But I thought the first half that you were decent. You know, you're okay in the first half. Again, surprised me a little bit like the Burnley thing. We were like, oh my God, here we go again. In the second half, and I know a lot of people say, but you didn't score. We absolutely hammered you. I would agree. We hammered you, and we just could not put the ball into the back of the net. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't like XG. We use it because that's what's been part of what Brentford have been about. And as a podcast, like I said to you, Pride of West London, we talk about it every week on our podcast. On XG-wise, I can't remember what it was, but I think it was probably about 3 or probably even over 3, which basically means that you've created lots of really massive, great chances that technically, if you had, a half-decent striker, I'm not saying Ivan Toney isn't, in your side, boom, they would have put that in the back of the net. But we did not put them in the back of the net, whether or not it's unlucky or your goalkeeper was fantastic or we were just rubbish. I can't remember exactly why, but we didn't score, and we should have scored at least 3, I think, in that second half, if not more than that. But we didn't. And that's kind of the reason why we are where we are now. And that's why when you ask me a lot of the questions that you ask, I can't answer those questions because, if it was another if it was another team and those chances were created, we're, again, a lot of people say, yeah, but you've got to put the ball in the back of the net. But the fact is that, we are, when it comes to chance creation or good chance creation, we're probably, I think we're about top 8 or top 10, which means that in effect, if you had somebody else in those same positions, they would be much more likely to put the ball in the back of the net than you. Yeah. We haven't had the finances to buy those players. And so that's why we need to stay up, and then we'll have a bit more money next year. And if it's not next year, then the following year, and that's kind of how it works, and we understand it. So that's why I'm a little bit more philosophical about us not getting the results that we want to get, because I don't want us to go out and spend £100 million on a striker coming to Brentford. Then he ends up being actually really rubbish, and they'll be like, "Oh no, we're in all sorts of trouble now." Like, you know, it's just like,
Well,
we can't do that, you know. So we have to just roll with the punches.
And hopefully you will have many punches against Norwich City at Carrow Road.
Punches, mate. Rum punches.
Right, Billy. Let's get to it now. It was 2-1 last time at your gaff. Give us your score prediction. What's your head saying, and what's your heart saying?
I'm actually going to go down the line, and my head and heart, I'm actually going to say it's going to be 1-0 to Brentford. We're going to sneak it. We're actually going to be very, it's going to be a rare moment, because we're actually not going to let in a goal, which is actually quite a rare moment for us. Even though saying that, we did very well against Crystal Palace. And Raya has been, honestly, he's been brilliant. The difference having him back in goal has been unbelievable. So I'm going to go for a very, I wouldn't say unlikely, but unusual 1-0 away win.
You're saying 1-0, dead cert, 1-0.
Yeah. I'm just saying, because the thing about it is that I think something's got to change. Something has to change, and we've been like this since the beginning of the year. And they've got to go out there. Thomas Frank's got to change it up. He can't go out and just do the same thing again. The players got to go out and do it again. We've got some good players out there, so they need to go out there and change it up. And what other game to do it than against Norwich? You know, you're not going to do it against Manchester City or change it up against Liverpool or, you know, Arsenal. You know what I'm saying? So they've got to change it up. So listen, that's what I'm saying. And it's going to be a bit of a gamble. It'll either work, or it doesn't work. And I'm going to go for it's going to work. So I'm going to go 1-0 to the mighty Bees.
It's absolutely not going to work. I think you've been on way too many run punches today, Billy. And I'm afraid to inform you that it's going to be 2 or 3-1 Norwich City. I'll back you. My head and my heart saying 3-1 Norwich City. I think it's got to change for Norwich as well as Brentford. And I think ultimately it will fall down to who wants to put the points more. And we shall see. Billy, as always, mate, thank you so much for getting involved in.
No, thanks so much. The thing I will say, actually, the thing that has really actually got not only us, but the characters up in Yorkshire a little bit nervous is our last game of the season is against Leeds United at home.
Is it really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's the one that's kind of got us. And our second to last game of the season away to Everton as well.
Really?
So you can see it's all kind of shaping up to be a kind of like, you know, all the pundits are going to be really sort of kind of, you know, licking their lips, you know, towards that.
Look, I'll say at the moment, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of Brentford at the moment because of the fact that we're competing against you massively down the bottom end. But if you help to get Everton and Leeds down into the depths and darknesses, and somehow we survive, I will be forever grateful. As I say, Billy, mate, thanks so much for spending your time with us today. Thank you so much, as always, to everyone that's watched this TNC Opposition preview. If you enjoyed it, do give it a like on YouTube. Get involved in the conversation at TalkNorwichCity on social media. Fingers crossed the next time I see you, lovely lot, will be after probably what's going to be the biggest 3 points of the season at Carrow Road. And once again, to reiterate exactly how we started the show, everyone, I'm sure, around Norwich City Football Club, Billy and I, and Jack too on Talk Norwich City, we really do send our thoughts and prayers to all of those people in Ukraine going through the most horrific time at the moment. Stay safe over there if you are watching, and if you are going to Carrow Road, then fingers crossed it's 3 points. On the